It's suggestions box time, where we take your suggestions for Overwatch 2 in the comments and see if we like them, pass them, or give you a big question mark, because what are you thinking? Here we go. First suggestion, add a visual indicator for allies of where Moira is when she is fading. I had a Moira say thanks before fading in a game, and the thanks icon follows her around during the fade. It was so much easier to follow up on her engagements or heal her up after a defensive fade. That is actually so interesting. I've never heard of that. That's actually a good call. So yeah, when Moira fades, like, she literally goes invisible. There's no UI, right, at all to figure out which direction she's taking. But the fact that she hits you with the communication wheel and it follows, that's such an interesting Moira tech. I mean, if it already does that, then yeah, you might as well add like a small, very minor, you know, maybe like a small little like arrow over like the character's name, because like, you know, you can see your teammates' names and whatever, the nameplates, following them around where they go to help keep track of her. It's a very small suggestion, but like, I don't think anybody would be opposed for that. So I like this, and that's actually something new that I learned. Hey, put that into your playbook, more players. DPS passive should be reduced individually, but can stack. This could take away any one DPS's ability to keep everybody at 20% and would reward teamwork between the DPSs. I actually feel like the DPS passive right now is okay. It makes DPSs a lot better. I think their idea with it was fine, and it cut down on all the burst healing. I think they accomplished their goal with it, and they even brought it back up from 15 to 20% in the recent mid-season patch, because like, things were not dying. It was true for so long that the tanks would just blow up immediately. But like right now with the DPS passive, they needed it to bring it back to 20% because things were still not dying fast enough at 15%. It's actually not even a bad idea though, but like, it has to be huge diminishing returns, like maybe like 12% for a single DPS marking somebody. But if 2 of them tag you, then it goes to like, if 20% is like a good number, then it could even start at 15. And if 2 people tag, it could be like 25% DPS passive to reward teamwork. I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I don't think DPS needs to be looked at per se at this time. I really think it's still tank, another topic, but it's less about tanks being blown up. It's more about tanks not being fun. That seems to be the big topic of discussion right now. And how can we make it a lot more fun and engaging and rewarding, especially for the main tank players? The whole idea of counter swapping is a big topic in the community to offload pressure, but you know, not a bad idea. I like this one. Suggestion: since the majority of the PvE and lore teams have been cut, we can't expect many more shorts. They should just weave in lore to the patch notes. Imagine one week it's like, oh, Orissa's tech is malfunctioning, so her spin has a longer cooldown now. Would be a cool every now and then kind of line. I mean, are you talking about like the developer comments, or like when they add like, you know, some fun little lines to the patch note? They could be like added as like, you know, lore related little bits. Yeah, like if they were like objectively going to change the balance for Orissa's spin, then they add some fun line where it's like, yeah, Orissa's tech is malfunctioning, so her spin is a longer cooldown time or something, as your example. That could be fun, but again, would require, I guess, a lot more extra resources. I think it's something they certainly could do. It's just whether the team has the bandwidth to add something like that. I actually know, now that I think about it, I think Valorant or some of the Riot games, they do have some fun lines for a couple of their patch notes. They don't do it for every patch note, but I do recall reading some fun stuff, especially for like TFT, but it's not like an always thing, because it's like, it doesn't move the needle. And unfortunately, I hate to say it, I mean, it's just the truth that a lot of corporations, like, if things don't move the needle, like, the shareholders hate it. I'm not saying I agree as a consumer, because I think these are fun things to add for the player base, but like, you know, nothing really changes whether they add it or not. It's just nice, it's cool, it's fun. Do it if you have the bandwidth, but if they don't, and it looks like they certainly don't, I mean, they cut the PvE and lore team. Do we really expect the balance and the patch notes communication seem to be, you know, not overworked? I highly doubt it. They're definitely overworked. So this is like extra work that they probably don't want to do at this point. I would say yes to that one. Next suggestion: let us use highlight intros on the hero selection screen. Yeah, why not? Make it toggleable. It gives it more flair instead of having the default animation. By the way, some of those default hero selection screen animations are different depending on the skin you're using. The mythics have a separate one, if I'm not mistaken. So like, if you have that, maybe the mythic will always override it, but otherwise, in all other cases, you should be able to use your own highlight intro as a starting screen when you pick them. Sure, I like that idea. Nothing wrong with that. Makes more uses of the cosmetics. And if I'm the product team at Blizzard, be like, hey, that can generate more highlight intro sales. Suggestion: add mirror or flipped variants of maps into the normal map pool. This could help maps feel more novel or interesting for people who've been playing the same map for years. It would be like Mario Kart's mirror mode. Okay, I've tried this once on OBS on stream, where like I reversed the image for the stream, and like literally people were complaining that they were getting nauseous. It's weird how like the human brain and the vestibular system and your balance and your perception works, but seeing something you're familiar with in complete reverse can disorient people, believe it or not. And I think I think the suggestion is okay, but not for like any of the normal modes. Nothing for quick play competitive where the majority of people can play. It has to be like a very specific arcade side mode and an option to maybe turn it off, because like if they have challenges or whatever rewards and stuff locked behind like a fun arcade mirrored mode and people literally cannot play it because they get dizzy, that's gonna, you know, raise some complaints and stuff, right? I've never played the Mario Kart mirror mode, but I'm not opposed to it, but it cannot be in the main modes. I still think they should add like the day night, you know, the different times and color themes, you know, all that as like part of the regular rotation. That's doable, just simple lighting, and that can make maps feel more refreshing. Next suggestion, add the option to see the patch notes while in the training range. You can see them in the main menu, so I get confused when it doesn't work for the only place you can actually test out and try your abilities. Yes, I think somebody mentioned this in last week's suggestions box, but yeah, it's weird how you can't access the baked-in patch notes in the training range. And in addition, one thing for the baked-in patch notes for the game is that when they make a change, they should make it so you can like click the hero in the patch note and it would like take you to the training range. All the abilities are locked out except the one they're changing, and then you can like try out the change or something. But that might be a little bit too much of an ask, but please. Anyways, this suggestion by itself, yes, of course. Dota and Team Fortress 2, both colossal inspirations for Overwatch's existence, were originally mods. Overwatch should absolutely foster the modding scene. I'd love to try to remake Man vs. Machine in Overwatch's workshop personally. Dota was a mod for Warcraft 3, Reign of Chaos, and Team Fortress was a mod for Quake. Again, this was also mentioned in last week's suggestions box, I believe, or at least one of the weeks, where they really should put more time and resources into the workshop and actually make it a lot more of a functional tool for modders to really get into the nitty-gritty functional API access. Listen, I don't program. I took one class of Python in university. Is that the right word? Public API, GitHub. In any case, yes, absolutely. Give more power to the players to, utilize their tools and like, kind of outsource. I mean, why not? More brains working and creating some fun things. I like some of the current custom game modes are honestly fantastic. One Dad 11 Kids is a personal favorite of mine, completely made in the workshop. Love it. And with more official tools to like help regulate and refine and polish it would be absolutely amazing for the community. So yes. Ooh, suggestion. Symmetra needs an automatic pulsing ping on both ends when she casts a teleporter. It's way too easy for the rest of the team to ignore or lose track of. Honestly, I'd prefer a frickin' Roadhog hook to fly out of it and drag them into it, but I'd settle for a ping. This one's a maybe. Like, the idea is okay, but like I'll take half the idea, but I don't like the other half. I don't like anything that automatically pings and automatically like gives me forced screen clutter. I feel like you should be able to manually ping, but like if you ping your teleporter, a friendly one, maybe there's a way for it to like ping both ends. Or like a ping where if you ping the teleporter, it not only the icon comes up, it'll be like, take my teleporter, would be like one of her voice lines. You know, an automatic one would just add more like corner UI stuff for a player that's not Symmetra. As important as it is, like sometimes I don't want to take that teleporter depending on like what the context of the team fight is. Maybe at the beginning of the team, like beginning of a match, sure, but like in the middle of a team fight, I just see take my teleporter, or like just a giant ping on my UI where it's unnecessary based on where I'm playing. Nothing automatic. I like half the idea, so I'll kind of put it in the middle. We need to cook on this one a little more. Suggestion, Zen can be more versatile if given the Zarya treatment of 2 charges of your choice of orbs. Discord changed to 20% or 15%, increase in Harmony changed to 25 HP per second or 20 HP per second, but it can stack on one ally. So can we stack 2 Discord orbs? This idea actually isn't that bad, at least at first glance. I'd have to sit and actually play test it a little bit, but like having 2 Orb of Harmonies, but like nerfed a little bit. I wouldn't allow you to stack 2 orbs at once, but if I can give 2 separate Orb of Harmonies at much less HP per second, maybe split it. Right now it's 30 HP per second, so split it in half, 15 HP per second on 2. Okay, you know what? 30 HP, then if you want to, yeah, you can double stack it on 1, sure. But then Discord cannot double stack because that just sounds a little ridiculous. Discord's currently at 15%. Maybe 2 separate Discord Discord orbs you can put at 15% on 2 targets, split attention, 2 discords at 10%, then you can stack 2 at 10 and then put it back at 20, or you can give 2 at 15 and stack both and put it back at 30, but then people didn't like the 30% discord. But maybe it's like not bad anymore because of all the bigger HP pools. But then again, 30 HP is percentage is always relative to their total HP pool, so not a bad idea. This could definitely be like an April Fool's mode, or like one of those like wacky, you know, creator balance patches that hopefully can go in and we can actually like try something like this out. Like, sitting in the middle on this one. Next thing is let us ping enemies through glass walls. It's a basic thing, but not being able to do this is frustrating at times. Yeah, but like it kind of goes against like how pinging is coded. Like if I'm not mistaken, and I understand the ping system, when you ping a person or a target or somewhere in the world environment, correct me if I'm wrong, programmers, where it's like it shoots a ray cast. Like you are in this XYZ location, this is what you're pinging. It shoots a ray of light and it does LOS checks. If there's a glass in the way, it'll fail the LOS check and it can't ping it. But if it does, it'll shoot a ray and it'll pick up the closest thing that like the ray hits relative to where your center pointer is. That's why you can actually change the sensitivity of how wide you want your ping sensitivity to be in your options, so you can have a bigger ray or a smaller ray. Because you'll notice, like for example, if I ping a Junkrat but he puts a trap down on the ground and it looks like I'm pinging the Junkrat, but because the ray is shooting out, it actually tags the trap in front of him first. Has anybody here ever like accidentally pinged a Junkrat trap where it's like, oh, I didn't even know there's a trap there, because you can't see it, but the Junkrat traps actually has like a hitbox that's a little elevated, so your ray cast hits it. I don't know how I got into explaining the ping system, but I just don't think it's possible based on how the whole entire system is designed with LOS checks. So no, but if it is doable, like it's, you know, with the power programming, I'm sure everything is possible, but it might just be like one hell of a headache to work through. So, oh, what in the world? Put suggestion, push as a game mode has been criticized for its lack of verticality since the bot path is very linear. A possible solution to this could be newer push maps having spots where the bot literally has to climb a cliff or enters an elevator with the objective slab. So yeah, you mean the barricade, whatever it's pushing, right? The players cannot, so there could be parts of the map where a vertical fight can consistently take place. I feel like that would create very uneven fighting territory. I feel like the parts of maps on push that I hate are the uphill battles. Tail end of New Queen Street, where you have to go up the hill, absolute worst part. Same with Colosseo, where like, you know, you're going under the bridge and you're about to wrap up a hill. Like that's like the worst part. So any more of the vertical cliff or elevator top down fights, I'm not a fan of. I would say the criticism for push is that if you have the early advantage, it inevitably snowballs you into a bigger advantage. Like it snowballs because you created that distance and you got the lead. But if you lose the team fight, the enemy team has to make up the distance before it goes back to the neutral point. And they cannot match the same distance, even if we have an even amount of team fights. Like they won one originally, then lost one. So right now the team fights are 1-1. And even if the team wins the second one and go 2-1, by the time it like makes it to match the first push, it's like the other team can come back already. You know what I mean? So that like the first portion of the first team fight advantage ends up like doubling in value. In any case, I think that could be something to look at. I don't know if I have a solution for that, but that's the criticism because of the first fight, the first team fight snowball effect. So I would say absolutely no for the vertical top-down fights. Put the NPCs from the PvE into the workshop. If you aren't going to use them anymore, let us. Not much to say about that. Throwing in some of those, like what was that? Like Widowmaker looking with the hair and like pulling people in. Imagine like having us able to spawn those like slicers and all those little fun things. That could really allow the workshoppers to cook some crazy fun custom workshop modes. This one's a big one. Cook with this, please. If it's not that hard to implement, Blizzard. Anyways, that's it for this week's suggestions. Add some more in the comments. See you next week for season 11.